We're still on Patreon. Head over to patreon.com/exoplanetary to get early access to episodes and let us know what extras you'd love to see. Prefer a one-time contribution? You can always buy me a coffee at ko-fi.com/Christopher Hart. That's ko-fi.com/Christopher Hart. It's basically rocket fuel for creating more of the stories you love. To everyone who helps make this show a reality and gets us in front of new listeners, thank you. Exoplanetary, the adventures of the spacefaring Wolverton family and their friends far in the future. Tonight's episode, The Cathedral on the Moon.
People ask you, why did he move to the moon? The best I can respond is, it seemed like a good idea at the time. You make choices in life. Sometimes you feel like you are following a particular destiny. Destiny is something you use to make sense of everything that happens to you. People want to believe in some grand design taking you on all of your merry misadventures. These are the conversations I got into with my two roommates. When we got to the moon, they bunked us up into trios and quads. People were matched up based on personality types. That's how I met Ezra Weiss and Murphy, Reginald Murphy. Everyone called him Murphy, except his mother, he told us. At first, we had no clue why the computer threw us together. I was a kid, barely 21. Ezra was in his 50s, and Murphy was somewhere in between. All three of us were engineers, but that meant nothing. Half the people living on the moon were some kind of engineer. Ezra had been something of a Talmudic scholar. Murphy spent the last 3 years living in a Buddhist monastery. Me? I grew up Catholic and spent what seemed like half of my life arguing some philosophical point or another. My aunt was a nun. My uncle was a priest, and my parents were both philosophy professors. As the black sheep of my family, I naturally got myself into the physical world as quickly as possible. Engineering never gave me the joy of endless bull sessions about transcendental nonsense. So our little flat became a lively little respite from the endless drudgery of life on the moon. Murphy was the cook, making the most out of our meager rations and growing a few extras from a window box he rigged up. Ezra kept us entertained with hundreds of card games he learned from the kids in his old neighborhood. My job was as the resident brewmaster, vintner, and distiller. I made the stuff we sipped while playing cards, and like the extra veggies from Murphy's window box, we could trade whatever we didn't use for more goods. We all had nights out, away from home. Love beckons even weird bachelor engineers. But it was Murphy who actually left to start a family. It didn't work out. He came back, something in him changed. Our long conversations became less about meandering through esoterica and more about solving problems. Now, of course, there are problems with living on the moon. It's the moon, no oxygen. But we also brought a whole parcel of problems with us from Earth.
I saw a guy panhandling by the People Mover this morning.
Panhandling?
What did you give him?
I gave him the 20 credits I had. Then I went home and got some of the bread and the carrots.
Good.
What would you guys do if you lost your job?
Look for another job, I guess.
And if you couldn't find another job? Not everyone can coast on charm like we do.
His name was Mike. They cut his division, and he was still looking for work. But he lost his flat, couldn't pay the rent, and they evicted him.
He couldn't have been living alone.
No, he was living with his wife and son.
Hey, this just gets worse.
If I lost my job, I'd like to think I could rely on you guys to help.
Of course, Alejandro.
Well, yes, of course, but it makes you think. I was middle-aged 10 years ago. Now there's more gray in my beard than not. What if I got let go? Would somebody hire an old man like me?
I know things were tight for you guys when I left, but you could always find another flatmate. A family, though, on one income.
I'm glad he did something, though, Murphy.
And I can't help but think that what I saw this morning was the first of a wave of something bigger and badder coming at us. Something for which none of us are ready.
Murphy changed, as if something deep inside him had awoken. Maybe it was having a daughter. Even though he lived with us, he spent a good deal of his time visiting her and his ex. Or it could have had nothing to do with that at all. Our card game slowed down as we spent more time talking about the problems people were facing on the moon. Unemployment, evictions, shortages in food, water, and even oxygen. The utopia we were promised, a frontier life, free of the burdens and bureaucracy of governments, seemed to be a lie. People had the potential to become a leader and an entrepreneur, no regulations to hold you back. But there's no regulations protecting you either. At first, it all seemed very hopeless. I felt that we were trapped in this situation and that there was no other way. I confessed as much to the woman I was seeing at the time, Jojo. She was quiet and shy, but listened intently to everything I had to say and took it all very seriously. It was after one particular grinding day that Jojo presented me with something that gave me hope.
What's wrong?
I was walking home with Ezra yesterday. We came upon something that, I don't want to say it shocked me. It took me back in a bad way.
What was it?
A camp of people who'd been evicted.
I see.
It's getting worse. Part of me feels glad I haven't had that sort of misfortune, but there's also the fear that it's only a matter of time.
I've seen a camp. Maybe it's the same one. Did I ever tell you about my father?
No.
He was a pastor. We lived in a small town, and when people hit hard times, he would do what he could to offer help.
What sort of things would he do?
Oh, he would bring them food, help them find a new place to live, get them together with people who could pay them for work. Being pastor wasn't just Sunday for him, but a full-time job of keeping people afloat. Anyone who needed help.
I haven't encountered anyone like that on the moon. Sometimes I feel like we all got lured up here with lots of promises we were being saved from something. It seems that all our problems followed us up here.
I'm just surprised they needed a puppeteer on the moon.
Yeah, wait, what did you say?
Oh, I'm a puppeteer. They said they needed a puppeteer on the moon.
I thought you were some sort of digital animator.
Oh, I am. But that's not too different from puppetry. You just use computer models as your materials.
You never brought this up before.
Some people don't like puppets. Daddy would let me use them, but people thought they were, weird.
Puppets aren't weird. Everybody loves puppets.
You see, I told you he'd understand.
Oh! You have a puppet with you. This whole time?
My name's Sluggo. Put her there.
Nice to meet you, Sluggo.
You have to forgive JoJo. Most folks give her the creeps. She likes you, though. Talks about you all the time.
No, please don't. Please don't.
Why? She was just telling me that she was going to invite you over tonight.
Invite me over? It's...
Yeah, you could come meet all the other puppets.
Would that be okay, Jojo?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Okay then. So there's more puppets?
Dozens of us. Her roommates hate it, but they're kind of stuck with it.
I'm sure it's not so bad.
I don't know. Her place is kind of a mess. All her arts and crafts stuff, I calls it arts and crafts.
Sluggo.
What? I'm just telling the man what it says. Ain't no crime, is it? It's the truth. I says it all the time. I says, here comes Jojo with them arts and crafts. Then you put me away in the drawer. I hate it in there. It's dark and quiet.
Good morning.
Good morning. What are you thinking about? You look a million miles away.
Not that far. Just back home. I was thinking of Daddy.
I see.
When something bothers me, I always wonder what he would have done.
What's bothering you?
The camp. Daddy would have done something about the camp.
That requires money and time.
Yeah. What would it... No, it's...
No, tell me.
What would it take to start a church?
A church?
Yeah. What if we had a church that believed in taking care of people?
A church?
Right. But you don't have to believe in anything other than making sure that people had what they needed to live.
Well, sure, but that's just socialism, babe.
Who cares what it's called, so long as it works?
Do you realize that you're up against decades, centuries of complicated history and wars and conflicts and...
You gonna help, pal, or what?
No, I'll help.
Good, I'd hate to have to rough you up.
Things moved quickly after that. Murphy in particular was a demon when it came to getting people to come to meetings and involve themselves. Within the week, we were using extra food to feed all of the evicted families we could find. We were running a food pantry and a soup kitchen. Things started taking a more aggressive bent. Many felt that merely negotiating with the corporations would not be enough. Some felt that more drastic action was needed. I won't deny it all scared the hell out of me. The corporations were in a position to just turn the oxygen off if they felt threatened, or simply have us all fired and blacklisted. We were entering the danger zone. One night, I was walking Jojo home after a meeting, thinking I'd stay the night, when I spied a man in black following us. I kissed her and said goodnight, then I walked around trying to find that lawn black coat. For hours I tried to hunt him, ready to clean his clock and maybe rearrange his teeth a little. Street dentistry, you know? But he was gone. But that's about when Jimmy Sparkkle showed up. Maybe he was sent to us. Maybe he just showed up on his own. Doesn't matter. That's where things diverged.
Who is that man in the purple jacket?
Purple jacket? Oh, wow. Talk about a rhinestone cowboy.
That's the Reverend Jimmy Sparkkle.
Why do I know that name?
Oh, he had a television ministry way back when. Lost it all, went to prison, then started again when things went bad on Earth. He sold buckets of food to doomsday preppers. Giant containers of pasta Alfredo pancake mix, dehydrated emergency rations.
Who on earth thought to bring that guy to the moon?
Someone who wanted help manipulating people.
Maybe he just wants us to buy a bucket.
We'll tell him what he can do with that bucket.
Good evening, gentlemen.
The Reverend Jimmy Sparkkle, I presume?
The title's purely honorary these days. I'm very impressed with the fellowship you've managed to put together here, Mr. Murphy.
This is a purely secular effort, Mr. Sparkkle. Not religious at all. But wouldn't you say that any group gathered in the name of helping your fellow man is doing the Lord's work?
We're just trying to help people.
I see that, and I'm inspired by what you've been able to create in such a short time. I hear many of these people are even able to find new work and come back to help.
A few. We're just doing what we can.
Well, sir, you have a volunteer in me.
We're not serving buckets of chili mac.
Hold on. Let's not be jerks here.
No, I understand. People came to the moon for all sorts of reasons. I came here to get away from my past. But some things are too big to escape.
I didn't mean to be a jerk. I
get it. We've all taken on a great deal, Jim. It's made us all passionate.
We can always use another pair of hands.
Yes, of course. Who's handling the schedule?
I think it's Beth over there. I'll go fetch her. Mr. Sparkkle, you can come with me?
Of course. Whatever I can do to help. Anything at all. Good evening to you, gentlemen.
Do you think it's a good idea, though?
I don't know, Alejandro. If we start second-guessing people's motives for helping others, we're going to start having more worries than work.
He's a con man. A man like that doesn't change, Murphy.
What if he's just here to do something good? Is that so difficult to believe that someone might choose to care about other people?
Whoa, come on, Murph.
He's here with us. That's enough to trust him.
I hear you. Don't know if I agree, but I hear you. Mind if I keep an eye on him, regardless?
Do whatever you think is necessary. I've got people to feed.
I don't blame him for getting mad. Murphy was an idealist. All that mattered to him was taking care of people. Who can argue with that? But I am a realist. Ideals are like a lighthouse. You can use them to find shore, but you'd better know enough to dock and avoid crashing into the rocks. So, I kept a close eye on Jimmy Sparkkle. He gave me the creeps. But there was nothing to see. All he did was work. He served food, talked to people warmly, and even prayed with them. Jimmy Sparkkle seemed too good to be true. But there he was, doing the work alongside us. When we closed up, I would play gumshoe at a distance. He seemed to go to his little flat on the south side of the colony, from the flat to his day job to the soup kitchen. That seemed to be the only life he had. Soon, I had different problems. One day, Jojo just seemed to disappear. There was no answer at her flat, and she hadn't been to the soup kitchen in a couple of nights. I was beside myself, walking miles until I found her sitting with baskets of puppets in a dark corner of the public concourse. Jojo! Oh my God, are you all right? Jojo, are you all right?
I don't think she wants to talk to anybody right now.
Sluggo, tell me what's happening.
She got evicted.
Evicted? But she had 2 flatmates.
Emphasis on the had, friendo.
Why am I only hearing about this now?
She thought she could get new flatmates, no problem. But it was harder than it looked.
Jojo, I wish you would have told me. I would have wanted to help.
She's embarrassed. Nobody likes feeling helpless, Pally. Some people can't swing it, and it feels like hot, wet garbage.
How long have you been out here, Jojo?
I can't explain it. It all seemed simple, but I just wasn't able to. I messed up.
None of that is important now. Let's get all your stuff together. You're coming to live with me.
That's very forward of you, Pally. Maybe she doesn't want to move in with you.
Well, I didn't. I mean, I understand wanting a place of your own, but would it help if I slept on the couch?
I'll check. We find these terms acceptable.
Good. Let's get going.
Alejandro, I don't really need you to sleep on the couch, okay?
I'm glad.
Gin.
Gin? How did you get gin?
You tossed that 5 and Sluggo picked it up.
I swear, Alejandro, that girl is helping this puppet somehow.
Tough noogies.
It's too bad we can't take these two to Atlantic City. We'd own that town.
We like being here.
And you're both very welcome. Murph? Is that you? You're in time to get your pants kicked by this GD puppet. Murph?
Murphy, what's wrong?
We're getting kicked out of the soup kitchen. The owner wants to put in a sunglasses boutique.
A what? Who needs sunglasses on the moon?
Well, there's no cloud cover and...
We have until the end of the month.
So we'll move.
Oh, easier said. We talked about this when we started up, how the higher-ups would find out that what we're doing is disruptive. It was only a matter of time.
Yeah, but we gotta do something.
There are too many of us to give up. I don't want to give up.
We're not giving up. What's needed is what we've always done. Hold a meeting, figure out our options, and work through it. Together. Giving up is not an option.
The meeting was, as Sluggo put it later, a real goat rodeo. Dozens of people trying to be heard, conflicting ideas, the occasional bouquet of unhelpful nonsense. Hours into it, we seemed to be no better off than when we started. And then, as if in a puff of smoke, Jimmy Sparkkle made his presence known. Now, I'm too young to have seen this cat in his TV heyday, but Ezra told me that people would tune in just to watch him do his thing. His charisma was off the charts.
People! Over these last few months, it has been my privilege to work among you, to serve some of you, and work to alleviate the many problems which plague our colony. The current situation is troubling, but the owner is within their rights. So are we, incidentally. We're within our rights to continue, and we shall. Now, y'all represent just about every faith known to mankind, and like myself, you sought to minister to the needy. I have given our situation considerable thought, my friends. It seems to me that, in the face of our current plight, a society that would seek to dispose of us, we must stare them down and become indispensable. What I know can help us, friends. You see, the corporations feel that it's important maintaining folks' spiritual needs. It improves their productivity. They're happier knowing they're cared for, and that makes things easier for the corporations. I have taken the liberty, friends, to inquire what it would be worth to the corporations to keep people happy and looked after. Because this is something we're already doing, meeting people's most basic needs. The corporations have responded.
Where is this going?
I don't know.
For this reason, they have called upon me to forge something the world we left never had, but sorely needed. Centers for those seeking relief, spiritual instruction, and guidance. Any religion at their fingertips, with us on hand to minister to their spiritual needs. I am here, my honorable and sagacious friends, to tell you that the corporations have put together the funds to house our efforts in a massive new building, which they will build for us. Our new home will have sufficient space for both worship and administration, all gathered under a single spire that will rise to nearly touch the dome that contains our colony. It will be a monument to man's search for the truth, a testimony that faith is still one of the central quests for mankind. Behold, This hologram depicts the plans for the great edifice, the Lunar Center for Spiritual Studies and Human Resources.
It looks a bit cathedral-ish.
It's not a cathedral.
I was just going to say the same thing.
Well, these are just the initial plans.
I mean, you should pardon the expression. Shouldn't such a building reflect all our faiths in design?
The Lunar Center for Spiritual Studies and Human Resources. That sounds...
We can always change the name later, Mr. Murphy.
There could be a minaret right in here.
Hey, but please, don't use laser pointers on the holographic presentation, please. I understand that there are many concerns, and we want to hear them all, but let's not lose perspective here, folks.
I think we've already lost perspective, Mr. Sparkkle. The resources and effort it would take to build this cathedral...
It's not a cathedral, y'all.
Whatever. Building a cathedral on the moon when people are out of work and in need of food and shelter seems misguided at best and foolish and cruel at worst.
If you are so convinced that a different direction is needed, then you are welcome to do what I did and visit the corporations. Share your ideas and ask them to bankroll your intentions. But I dare say you will not get the same reaction I did.
When did he have time to visit the bigwigs? He just went to and from the soup kitchen.
Maybe he got them on the phone?
We have survived terrible things to get where we are, to continue our work.
And what work is that, Mr. Sparkkle? People are suffering here and now. Did the rest of you know that Solar Cola fired a dozen people last week? Not laid off, not a temporary thing. They up and fired 12 workers. Now, in another place and another time, someone could do something about that. Maybe the remaining workers would be spurred to organize and give Solar Cola hell until they improved conditions. On Earth, those things happened. But our exodus from the Earth wasn't just to escape climate change, overpopulation, rising oceans, endless wildfires. It was also so our benefactors could escape regulations, courtrooms, and accountability. Now, I came here. Why? Because I was afraid of what was happening on Earth. We all were, if we're honest. But I was told that a man with my skill could be helpful, to lift up humanity from the dust of the moon into something beautiful. Maybe even to help us get back home and fix things down there. Humanity needed to give the Earth a break, my friend said. Time to heal. Come with us to the moon, he said. From the moon, you can be a part of the solution. One day, on my way to work, I saw a man begging for credits by the people mover in Section C. How many of you used that mover? How many of you saw him that day? He told me his wife and son were also begging by Section D. Remember them? Do you? If you don't, you're easily forgiven because there's more each day. People who came to the moon to work and found themselves abandoned with nowhere to turn. I don't believe that I came to the moon to help with my technical skills. I believe I was brought here for other, more important reasons. And I cannot stand by and watch us squabble over putting up a massive building when there is work to be done for those in real need. We came from a place with tent cities in every metropolitan area, sometimes tucked away in little sylvan offshoots, sometimes taking over the sidewalks. We didn't rocket away from those problems. That man and his family were living in common areas because they were thrown out of their flat, the oxygen shut off, only able to take what they could carry with them. Friends, we cannot tolerate this.
My new friend, the distinguished Mr. Murphy, is right. This is not a situation we can tolerate. But where my friend laments the loss of courtrooms and unions, I see that we have an opportunity to do something different and beautiful in their absence. Yes, And without the inefficient political systems to slow us down, yes, and no laws to bind us from taking direct, practical action. Without them, we are free to look at these shortcomings and nip them in the bud. Hallelujah! Friends, what if I told you that part of our plans were for our Lunar Interfaith Conference to start grand employment centers for these unfortunate people to live, where they and their families can be comfortable as they await the next chapter of their careers, where food, water, and air will be provided by us directly through our funding? The corporations see the benefit of funding us, friends, to giving us the means to expand our work, bringing comfort to people, to providing them what they cannot get from work alone, to tend to their needs and their souls. I thank my friend, Mr. Murphy, for bringing these concerns to our attention. To him and his concerns, I give a hearty amen. So be it. We will invite Brother Murphy to join our advisory council. His voice is vital and must be heard.
And with that, Sparkkle walked out of the room.
If he'd had a microphone, that would have been when he dropped it.
Will you?
I mean, why would I?
That's what I like to hear.
But still, if they're going to build this cathedral that's not a cathedral, doesn't that suggest that there's endless funding at the end of the rainbow?
There's a catch.
She's right. His organization will be beholden to the corporations.
So what do we do?
We keep on keeping on. We know what to do. We just need to find a new place.
But it was hard. We did find that new place, but we moved every 6 months. Across town, the cathedral that wasn't a cathedral sprouted like a concrete beanstalk to the heavens, and as each day passed, the Lunar Center for Spiritual Studies and Human Resources became even more an undeniable presence on the moon. Nobody called it that, of course. If you were talking about the building, it was the cathedral. Those talking about the organization just called it the church. 6 months later, our flat had its first defection.
What he told me was they needed someone to head the Talmudic Studies department. There's a salary, even a pension.
Well, sure. No, I understand.
It's an amazing opportunity.
Can you still work with us at the soup kitchen?
Well, we've always tried to keep body and soul together and do all this stuff for others. But I'm an old man, you know. I look at the people I'm helping and I think, what might happen to me? I wonder if the world might throw me out like trash.
I do understand, Ezra. Trust me. I really do. I really do.
Murphy understood. But he was losing volunteers to the church left and right. They were becoming pastors, monks, mullahs, rabbis, and even non-denominational deacons. The promise of stable work and their living expenses handled was very welcome. While there was no animosity, Murphy started sleeping on a cot he kept at the soup kitchen. Ezra tried not to take it personally. Did the church seem to have a special interest in our little group? It's odd to think of there being competition between a soup kitchen and, well, anything, really, but they seem to want all of us, collect them all. Yes, I took a job, all right. It was impossible to say no. Murphy shrugged his shoulders. Jojo wouldn't talk to me, and Sluggo barely acknowledged me. I hoped I would just be sleeping on the couch for a night or two, but by the end of the week, Jojo and all of her puppets moved to a cot in the soup kitchen. The absence of the fabric, little plastic bits, and other materials gave me a bad case of... It was the first time I could remember ever being alone in that flat.
are you doing here, Alejandro?
Hey, Sluggo. Just here to help with the shift. Don't you usually call people pally or friendo?
I save that talk for my pallies and friendos, Alejandro.
I see. Jojo is still mad at me.
You'd have to ask her.
Look, I guess I don't really understand what's the problem with working for the church. We're trying to help people and give them what they need.
You been to one of those employment centers?
What are you talking about?
They keep the people behind chain link fences. They feed them slop. It's inhumane.
I, actually don't handle that. They put me in the bookkeeping side of things.
Are you here to work or to talk?
No, I'm here to work.
There's dishes in the sink.
Mr. Murphy?
Mr. Sparkkle, I hope you'll excuse me if I remain seated. My break goes another 5 minutes.
I'm actually a Reverend Sparkkle again. People felt it fit the job.
Congratulations.
I've come to offer you...
It's nothing I care to have, Reverend. We have different paths. If you find success in alleviating people's poverty, I applaud it. Your ways are not mine.
You cut a dashing figure, I must say. Wild-eyed dreamer. But I've got to wonder how much of all of that is genuine and how much of that is the old phonus balonus.
What are you suggesting, Reverend? I wish you'd get to the point.
Direct? I prefer that. I like to save the soft shoe for a paying crowd. Frankly, sir, I find your efforts toward ending poverty on the moon to be drips in a bucket.
I don't care what you think.
Decades ago, I was on TV every day, making a healthy buck by bringing the gospel into people's homes. Then I got caught being weak, and I served some time, I admit it. None of us are totally clean of sin. But the sin, sir, was between me and the Lord, and he is very eager to forgive me when I admit that I do wrong by him. Man's law was a different matter. When I got out of prison, I gave myself a good clean shave, bought a nice second-hand suit, and started from the bottom. But this time, I did it all by the book. Not a hair over the line, nothing for the IRS to find. In time, I discovered my new niche. I told people that the world was coming to an end, and if they were smart, they would buy and store buckets of my food to sustain them during the crisis.
You exploited those people, same as before.
But where was the lie? You and I are speaking on the surface of the moon, son. Evacuees from a crumbling society degenerating into barbarism. Where was the sin? And I sure didn't break any laws. My lawyers saw to that. It wasn't a church, but a legitimate business. I gave Uncle Sam his cut. Heck, I even got a refund a time or two. And for all I know, folks are down there chowing down on the macaroni and cheese or the chicken curry and rice or the pancake and waffle batter. Then they punch a hole in the lid, making a perfect commode, and say hallelujah and praise be to God for Jimmy Sparkkle and his fabulous survival buckets. Thank you, Lord, for this blessed relief. And bless you, Jimmy, wherever you are.
You sure do love hearing yourself talk.
Murphy, why are you out here pissing into my tent? You could do everything you're doing here without worrying about money and constantly moving if you just join the church. We can help. We will take the people they have no use for and we will find them their next job. We will care for the mentally ill and undesirable and give them positions within our ranks. We will give comfort to the sick and dying.
In your fenced-off yard.
Come then and improve them. We will give hope to those who toil and sweat in this impossible place, that they shall not labor in vain, that their reward will lie in the world beyond this one. And this church can be whatever we want it to be. we can put these resources to whatever we need, whatever I need, whatever you need, unlimited resources to pursue whatever you want.
Whatever we want, so long as we stay out of the corporation's way. Is that it?
It was ever thus.
See, I always thought that I was the agnostic or the atheist. But you believe in nothing. You're soulless.
Now, hang on a moment. You might be surprised what I actually believe. Do not mistake your contempt for the reality of our situation for my relationship with the Lord. I am a believer. I atone for my sins, and they are many. But I do not lose sight of the world I live in and where I fit into this chaos, and I suggest you do the same.
You would support whatever I wanted to do? Any program? Any expenditure?
Everything from soup to nuts. This would be a partnership. I want you in the tent where you can do some good.
Yeah, and I bet you would too. But I can't. I really can't.
You believe in what you're doing that much? Or are you just some kind of martyr?
To go with you, I would have to trust your benefactors, and that's been impossible since the day I saw the truth of what they've built. There's no way to fix this world by becoming part of the problem.
But what you're doing, Murphy, you're tilting at windmills. It will never work.
Yeah, but I have faith in what I'm doing, Rev. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to serve some food.
Are you Reverend Sparkkle?
Yes, I am. How may I help you, young lady?
You're a bad man.
You're a bad man. You're a bad man.
Where'd that puppet come from? Oh, I hate ventriloquism. Can't see your lips move. No. Get away. Oh, Lord, they're coming for me. Get them. Get them away here.
You're a bad man.
Some people just don't like puppets.
Gin.
Damn it.
Here we are, playing cards. Meanwhile, everyone we care about is doing something that once brought us both so much joy.
Ezra, they dropped us like we were white hot.
Part of me thinks that I let my own fears and needs get in the way of me doing something I enjoyed. Something that swelled my heart with pride. Here we are, playing cards when we could be with our friends.
You go and do a day's work, and you want us to go do another.
I guess I never thought of it that way.
They won't forgive us. She won't forgive me.
Tell me, does it matter?
I would have thought she'd reach out.
Should I deal another hand, or...?
It won't work, Ezra. They'll be cold to us. They won't take us back.
She won't take you back. Really?
I can't face her. She thinks I've betrayed her. The whole thing was her idea. Murphy wanted to do something, but Jojo had the brainstorm.
Maybe it's not enough for her to forgive you. Maybe you should forgive yourself.
For what? Taking an opportunity? Accepting a job? In a world so cruel, we might have found ourselves out of work, evicted.
So should I deal? Or should we go down and work?
I don't know. I don't know.
You have been listening to Exoplanetary, the Cathedral on the Moon, written by C. Christopher Hart, performed by
Patricio Fabián Mendoza as Alejandro Pepo Ríos.
Robert McBride as Murphy.
Cat Hawk as Jojo and Sluggo.
David Meyers as Ezra.
And Chris Porter as the Reverend Jimmy Sparkkle.
Script consultant, Ash Freeman.
produced by C. Christopher Hart.
Music provided by Jacob Jansen.
Sound effects by Danger Marshall.
This play, the characters, situations, and associated intellectual property, copyright 2023 by C. Christopher Hart. All rights reserved. recorded at the Willamette Radio Workshop Studio in sunny Portland, Oregon.